Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. So we don't do a lot of product reviews, or we haven't done a lot of them in the past, but today is going to be a product review on the Insta360 OneR. This is one of the newer models in the Insta360 line, I think, and I was able to get my hands on it and play around with it. So let's get down to business, shall we? First of all, I want to say that this camera is very much an all-in-one kind of a camera. Comes with two lenses, one for shooting your 360 and one for ultra-wide. It's also very easy to swap between the two of them. It shoots 5K at 30 frames a second, and if you bump it up to 60 frames, it still shoots 4K. So you're gonna have pretty good quality footage regardless. Unlike most cameras this size, it shoots pretty well in low light, which is really great because that means you don't have to waste any time swapping between lenses and stuff. If you go into a cave or something, I don't know, people go into caves sometimes. I go into caves sometimes. Anyways, along with its night shot mode, it also lets you adjust the settings manually. So like your ISO, your white balance. If this sounds foreign to you, then just leave it on auto. The camera will do everything and make it look pretty good, but I think it's a nice touch that you can at least adjust them if you choose to. This camera can shoot raw photos as well, which is a total bonus if you want to do any extra editing with colors and stuff. The camera has a built-in time-lapse mode. As is absolutely expected, it is 2021. It's super easy to use, it looks really good, and one other thing that I wanted to mention that I like about this camera, it's got a flat bottom surface, so you could pretty much set this thing up on any platform and it'll sit there and it'll shoot your time lapse for you without moving, so you don't need a tripod or anything, unlike their other OneX model. This one, similar camera, however, it's a little risky to kind of stand it up on something. So you basically need a tripod for this or else it's not gonna stay upright. Using this, I've been able to just stand it up on a ledge or on a tabletop or something and just let it do its thing. And then I don't have to carry around this big beefy tripod with me anytime I wanna do my time lapses or whatever. A new feature for me that they've built into this camera is called Starlapse. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a time lapse for shooting the stars at night. It's a cool feature. I like that they added it in. However, I personally have not had any luck using it yet. The couple times that I tried it, either there weren't enough stars in the sky or the clouds were in the way or the moon was actually so bright that it kind of overpowered all the other light in the shot and it ruined the footage for the stars. Nothing that is a fault of the camera itself, it's just that I didn't really have the conditions quite right when I was shooting. So this baby's fully waterproof up to 3 meters or 15 feet for the Americans. So it's really good if you want to take it out in the rain or in a swimming pool or snorkeling. For diving, you may want to pick up the underwater housing for deep diving. There's a case for it that gives you way more depth without the pressure actually pushing any of the buttons accidentally. It'll take you up to 40 meters with the dive housing if you have it. I did use this diving in Mexico, took it into the ocean. It worked perfectly. I had no issues with it whatsoever. A lot of my friends use gimbals or stabilizers or anything like that to get these really smooth cinematic style shots with their cameras. If you don't have one, like me, this is the ticket for you. They've got something included in this camera called flow state stabilization. I'm not going to get into the specifics of their scene detection stabilization algorithm, but I did do a lot of running around with it and it works really well. It's actually way more smooth than I expected it to be and very much simulates a gimbal. Even running at full speed with this thing on a selfie stick, I was very impressed with how smooth the footage was. That's a big selling feature in my opinion. Another feature new to me with this camera is bullet time. This one is pretty cool. So with bullet time, The camera basically revolves around your head at high speeds, and it tracks you in the center of the frame the whole time, and it plays it back in slow-mo, giving you this really cool like Matrix style effect. So along with the selfie stick, they've added this extra attachment. One, doubles up as a tripod, but two, you attach this thing onto the bottom of your selfie stick, like so, and it gives your selfie stick now this really cool gyroscopic effect. All you've got to do is spin it over your head really fast. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was very apprehensive about this at first because you've got a $500 camera over your head that you're spinning really quickly. What if something comes off? What if it falls off? What if it breaks and gets damaged? It was a little sketchy, but it held strong and I had no issues with it whatsoever. And I mean, the more I use it, the more I start to feel comfortable with it that it's not gonna fly off. It worked, it was fine. You can spin it pretty quickly. No issues. I can't really see this being a feature that I would ever need, but it sure makes for some really cool effects. And I had fun playing with it, and frankly, I do like the shots that come out of it. Now, the camera itself has only 2 buttons and a tiny little touch screen. With different directional swipes, you can swap between your shooting modes, you can change your settings, and play back your videos. For anything more than that, you'll want to just use the app. Now, the app is solid. It gives you much more range to play around with the settings. It has built-in filters to apply to your clips that you can choose from, or you can just do it all manually and adjust, the temperature, the contrast, the exposure, the highlights, etc. On top of all that, the built-in editing program is extremely handy. You can trim and stitch your clips together, you can adjust the colors, and you can even add your own favorite music all before you even get home from your shoot. Like anything, it will take time and practice to get used to the app. Personally, I feel a bit more comfortable pulling out my laptop, dropping the footage on top of it, doing my edits within, and then dropping it back onto my phone so that I can post it on Instagram or whatever. But not everybody has that option, and now you don't need it. It all works in the app. I also must admit, I'm still a bit of a noob when it comes to editing within the app itself, but I just need to spend more time with it, and I think it's very handy to have, and I think it's a big selling feature for a lot of other people as well. And I should also point out, actually, I'm using an iPhone 8. It's an old phone, there's nothing really new about this, but it works fine, it handles everything fine, it's never crashed, I haven't had any issues, so pretty much whatever phone you've got, it's gonna be fine with the app. Now, the selfie stick that comes with it, really cool. It extends to, almost a meter. Whoops, sorry guys. And the camera will actually stitch out the stick itself so that if you're holding it in your hand, you'll see part of your thumb and you'll see your knuckle, but you won't see the stick at all. So if you're wearing a black glove, like when I went snowboarding, you couldn't even tell that I was holding a camera at all. It almost gives that effect of a drone nearby that just stays really close to you. It's very cool. Now, there are a few complaints about this camera that I will talk about right now. The first one being the tiny touch screen. It's about this big by this big. It's small, yeah, I get it. The complaints are that it's too small and difficult to use for people. To be quite honest, you're only doing a couple different directional swipes and a couple taps. I don't know why you would need a big screen on your camera anyways, especially if you can connect it to your phone so easily and there's an app that lets you do everything within it there. So for me, the small screen is not an issue. But for those people who like a bigger screen, use the app, use your phone. The second complaint that people have is the shutter lag while shooting a photo. You can't just pull it out of your pocket, take a shot and walk away. You click it, you wait for a second, it does its little and then you've got your photo. It's 1.5 seconds between clicking the button and getting that photo. I mean, this is definitely a minor inconvenience, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. What else? Occasional freezing. I've read that online. People have had issues with the camera just freezing for some reason or for no reason. That's definitely annoying, for sure. I get that. I've had that with past cameras, different brands, different models, for sure. I don't know. Fortunately for me, I haven't had to deal with it with this camera yet. Maybe I've just been lucky. Maybe I haven't spent enough hours playing with it to really experience it. I don't know. Insta360 does provide updates on a fairly regular basis, so any glitches or bugs that come about with the camera are probably just going to get fixed and adjusted in the next update. They're fairly frequent and updating is super easy. There's really not much that you have to do other than click a few buttons and wait. Now, the last complaint that people have about this camera is one that I absolutely resonate with. It's sort of a complaint that I have too. The lens on this camera is frightfully easy to scratch. This is a big concern for me. So if you were to even just like take this and put it down somewhere, it's pretty much gonna get rested on that lens. I don't like that. There aren't very many alternatives around that, but because of the nature of this thing having these two fisheye lenses, anything that you put it down on is gonna be touching that lens itself, which I don't like. But I don't know if there's really much you can do about it because that's the nature of a 360 camera. The fisheye lenses that bulb out on both sides. Makes sense. I have been very anxious pulling it out of my bag or putting it back into my bag just in case it brushes up against a zipper or something else in there that may cause it to scratch. It's not a good feeling, but I do a lot of my shooting like run and gun. Oh, we're here now, here quick. I've got it with the regular camera, let's grab the 360, I whip it out of my bag. It would be really easy for this thing to catch something along the way and just give this one scuff in the center of the lens that the whole lens is botched because you've got this scratch and you need to spend some money and get another one. Now, of course, they had to compensate for that somehow, so they've created this cute little rubber piece that just goes right over top of the lenses like that. And now I really have no concern putting it down somewhere, whatever. Only thing now is you're looking at a disconnected small black piece of rubber that is very easy to lose or misplace. Haven't had that issue yet, but is definitely something that I'm worried may happen or could easily happen in the future. All in all, this camera is pretty great. Whether or not you're using it as your main camera for all of your filming and shooting needs, or whether you just wanted to add it to your arsenal of equipment for bonus extra footage. Either way, I love this camera. I plan to use it on just about all of my shoots, even just to have that extra angle or just the ability to have a 360 shot on top of my other footage. I would absolutely recommend this camera. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've used a lot of other companies and brands. You get the newest camera from any brand, it's probably gonna be great. I'm not super picky, but what I have and what I have played with and practiced is the Insta360 OneR, and I like it a lot, and I'm going to continue shooting with it. And if you needed one camera and you didn't know what to get and you like the idea of having something small that shoots 5K, this might be the one for you. So, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed that product review. Hope you learned a thing or two, and hope maybe I gave you a bit of clarity on something if you needed, help deciding on what kind of future camera you may or may not want to use. That's what I got for the Insta360 OneR. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you next week.